So we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Bovine Veterinarian Magazine. What would you say is one of the most interesting or surprising or funny thing that's happened to you in the last 20 years in practicing?
I would say clinically, I guess the most interesting thing or the most funniest thing is probably getting chased around with a bull. And at the time, you know, everybody goes through those, but getting rescued in a bucket of a tractor and fearing my life, I guess, for a little while. It wasn't funny, but it was sure exciting.
A hazard of the job, huh?
It goes with the job.
As I was called out to work on a Scottish Highlander, and it was a wild animal, and I was asked to dart it so he could remove a halter from it. Well, this guy was a logger, and he had a pile of logs, and it looked somewhat like capture of an elephant in Africa. He had formed a log pile around this Scottish Highlander that was about 8 foot high, and I'm speaking of logs that are 24 inches in diameter. And when I crawled to the top of that pile and that animal came at me but couldn't reach me, I really understood why the log pile was there.
I was called out on emergency to a farm where a calf had got tangled up in a barbed wire fence, and the farmer had to cut the calf off the fence with a cutting tool. We sedated the calf, and it was skinned from the navel all the way down between the back legs, and we were able to, after sedated it, sutured it back together, and the calf healed eventually and was able to go on the market, and you would not have known there was anything wrong with it.
A goat that I got a call on that had an obstructed teat. It had just freshened, and we couldn't find anything. Sent her home. 1 year, almost to the day, they called me back, said, same goat, same teat, obstructed. They brought the goat in. I started working on it. I could feel the obstruction, and I worked about 20 minutes and took a 22 slug out of the teat. A year before that, they saw the goat had blood on its udder. They thought it had cut it on something, and what had really happened, that goat had been shot, and that slug had migrated into the teat, and I took it out over a year later.
Nice spring evening. A client of mine called, and I was on call that evening, just ready to go home, and he said, "Doc, I got a bull in a pool. Can you help me?" Well, not sure what you want me to do about it, but I'll be out. And we successfully extracted his bull from the pool.
A few years ago, I was on call one evening and received a call around 7 o'clock from an Amish farmer who had a heifer that was having difficulty calving. I arrived on the farm and found that it was about a 15-month-old heifer that had accidentally been left in the pen with the bull as a 6-month-old heifer, and she was trying to give birth to a full-term calf. So we ended up having to do a C-section. It was dusk, and it was starting to get dark in the barn. I had about 6 or 8 Amish men trying to fall all over themselves to help me get the animal prepped for surgery, and they all had headlamps on to help me with light so that I could see what I was doing. And so by headlamp and headlight of the truck, I was able to do a C-section and deliver a calf out of this 15-month-old beef heifer.
One of the oddest ones I got was a phone call about a baby black rhinoceros that they were trying to figure out what to feed it, and were wondering if they could feed this milk replacer or that. And I, of course, told them that our product wasn't quite labeled for black rhinoceros. So I kind of got curious of wondering what's the value of this black rhinoceros anyway, because it sounds like rather unique species. And they said, well, it's about $16,000 for this baby. And I said, wouldn't you want to have something very special and specific for that animal? Oh, don't worry, we lose about half of them normally anyway. And it was a shocking story to me.
So was that the zoo talking to you, or a private person?
It was a zoo, thank goodness. But yeah, I've gotten a few phone calls from zoos about black rhinoceros, polar bears, you name it, all babies that they need to get fed.
Oh, I guess one of the funniest things is many years ago when I was an intern at the University of Minnesota, a stripper came in from the local strip club, and she had a sick snake that she used in her act, and she came in with her snake in an AABP bag, and we had to examine the snake and figure out why it was sick.
You never figured out how she got that bag, huh?
No, I never could figure out how she got that AABP bag. No, I could not.
We got a call one day, and there was a bull that had fallen down into a pump house, and so we get the call, and we're supposed to go out there and help them deal with it. We get out there, and this bull's standing 8 feet down in this pump house. And so they were trying to talk my colleague into tying, and they were dead serious. They wanted to tie a rope around her waist, lower her down so she could sedate the bull, and then reel her back out. She managed to talk them out of that. They ended up pulling the bull, got the tractor, got a halter around him, pulled him up. She just reached down and injected him, and then they got him sedated and managed to get him out. But yeah, they were dead serious. They wanted to lower her down with a bull in an 8-foot hole.
I don't think I'd want to be in that hole.
No, sir.